right, you're all set, Terry.
Okay, so this is the FP9 that comes from OPI that tells us what the total school budgets are. So, and the key ones that got affected by this was the Three Forks and the Willow Creek Elementary, because they were affected by, yeah, they were affected because of Gallatin County. So that's why this was so late. Usually we get this way
Oh, so
earlier.
theirs went down quite a bit then.
What
with
did
that
Gallatin County
evaluation.
do?
Huh?
What did they do?
They redid their assessments because they didn't
Bill
have time
grade.
to do it when they were supposed to.
Belgrade, the Department of Revenue failed to do the assessments
Newly
correctly in
taxable.
Belgrade.
Oh,
So that somebody in Belgrade, smart people, noticed that there was something wrong.
They were
And it
upset
was
about
nearly
new
taxable.
stuff.
Yeah, so all this stuff. So they had to go back in and push all those, which affected both Broadwater, us, and Madison, not as much Madison, but Broadwater and us. Because these school mills couldn't be finalized until they had all that stuff done. So that's why there's kind of a delay. All this is kind of delayed. But when I talked to Sarah on Friday about this, she's like, I'm so excited it's here, because they didn't expect us to have this for 2 more weeks. So I think we're ahead of the game. So anyway, well, it matters to me because I want the tax bills out by the end of the month. Okay,
doesn't matter
I
to
mean,
me.
maybe it's not important. I could have pushed the tax bills out, absolutely, and made the due date like December 15th, but who wants to pay taxes at Christmas time? It's bad enough to
It's the
pay them
same
at
thing.
Thanksgiving.
It's the same thing.
Just giving you your Christmas gift to the county.
It's
instead
a
of-
psychological thing for me.
I suppose.
Maybe it's just psychological. I don't know.
I don't buy Christmas gifts, so it doesn't matter to me.
I know, you just pay your wife's registration or whatever it is. Anyway, so I printed I sent these sheets to you as well, so you can look at my sheets side by side. I've entered these all into the system and created a report until I got to make sure all of it balances. DOR hasn't rolled the taxes over to me yet, because I just sent them this as well Friday. So, so this has to be signed by Sarah and Ginger, so that's what that's for. And then this is just kind of a tentative totals. You're right, the levy districts and some of these levies did go up, but that is affected by everything here.
Yeah,
And remember too, on the original,
it's not us anyway.
yeah, the original sheet, the 23-24 had those old equalization mills on it. So that's gonna affect your total down here too. Because the
Yeah,
old
I
sheet,
guess
the
there's
old sheet
7
wasn't
mils there,
changed.
Yeah,
Yeah, 17 mills.
17.
So,
Mhm.
I'm never doing that again, by the way. Yeah, anyway, I have nightmares about that whole thing.
No, we may.
Yeah.
I won't.
You get.
So Senator Beard said they're working on fixing that for this session in her town hall meeting. Because
Oh,
I asked
assumed- thought
the
it was-
question,
Thought it was fixed.
well,
The governor's decision just.
she believes that it should be lower. It shouldn't be 95, should be more like 89 or 87. So that's halfway in between. That's not a lot, but anyway, it's something. Okay, so I don't have a balancing report. We are combing through everything. We think we have a line. We think a good part of it is Jefferson High School. So what happens with Jefferson and Boulder? They do what they call an electronic check to pay their taxes, their payroll taxes. So then they send us a
They've
report.
done that forever.
No, they have never done it electronically. It's only been the last year.
The treasury tax and loan payment that they make?
Yeah, but to us. So they usually, okay, let me start over. 2 years ago, they used to write a check for each one, IRS, blah, 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 and put it in the county's account for payroll taxes.
Right, that's what I.
Now they
remember.
do what they call a e-check.
Hmm.
So they create a report on their side that takes the money out of their system. They're supposed to send us a report that we then transfer the money out of the county's funds into that payroll. We've been doing that for one school for 2 years, never had an issue. The other school apparently is adding stuff at the last minute and not telling us. So remember, I've got a constant out of balance because I'm not moving their money over to the
The amount you
tax
move
account.
over isn't the amount that's withdrawn.
Right, and the tax account is been running right on the edge. I've got $20,000 over there to keep it from being overdrawn.
See what you're talking about? Federal government just comes in and charges the
Right,
account that Terry puts the money in.
right. But if I don't put the money in there, right, it's still getting paid,
Get right.
but I don't, so I think that's part of our,
Is that your 12,000?
well, part of the 12,000. So like right now, Paulette's, we're going through, we made the school send us every report since last June of 20. What year am I in? 23, July of 23. A report
24.
for every electronic check, which they use on their side. It's called an electronic check. That's why it's confusing. They use what they call an electronic check to take money out of their funds. And they're supposed to tell us, and then we input on our side how much money we need to take care of those tax funds. Paulette hasn't been able to balance that tax account now for like 8 months either, because it's not matching. And so yesterday I spent several hours going through, and I can see where checks have been missed because they're adding checks on the last day of the month and they're not telling us. So it's an issue. So I didn't do a balance report because all I've done is pound my head on this balance because I can't take it anymore. I can't, it's actually making me insane.
And that's JHS that's having the issue?
JHS.
And they
mostly.
use Black Mountain?
BES, yeah. But they don't, that electronic, their school system doesn't talk to our system.
But they use Black Mountain.
Yes.
So they do the same payroll process that we do for our ACH,
They,
IRS.
correct. Correct. So it's
Interesting.
called an e-check, so to
It's just the way they're
speak.
paying the federal government.
Well, no, the e-check is an internal thing. So like when she pays like Comdata.
It's just
or
a way to
Iowa
clear
State-
it out of the
Yeah, it's
system,
just the way to clear it out of their side. But if
the
you don't,
payroll system.
and it doesn't affect the county side. It affects because they don't put any money in that ACH account, but they're taking it out of their funds, which roll to our funds when we pull their data in. But if we're not taking them, moving the money
You
out,
used to reconcile that account separately. You haven't anymore.
I do it every month,
Oh, do you?
but it has
Okay.
not been in balance for months.
Okay.
It's should be netting to zero each month, and it is not. So this is where we think
This is why, yeah.
this is part of the reason why we're having so much trouble. And it's taking a long time to do this. It's taken way more time than it should. But frankly, there's all this other stuff. There's 17 mills, and now we got these tax deeds, and we got this, and I'm tired between tunnels and OT mining. It makes me want to,
How do they reconcile it?
Mhm.
How do they reconcile their transactions?
because she's doing this e-check on her side, which is clearing it out of her funds. And so as far as she's concerned, she's fine.
She doesn't reconcile, right?
Because her
She's-
cash would be
She
going
doesn't have any way
lower.
to reconcile her
Right.
side.
Her cash isn't going lower if it's not going to the tax account, right?
Right, but see, it's
It
all
all-
internal on her side.
Right.
But she must get a notice on what they withdrew.
Well, she is, but the thing is that, so it's really hard to explain, I think.
But your debit
So-
and credit could,
The debits and credits
Yeah.
are on my side though, at the bank. But if I don't put money in there to cover those debits, right?
but she's
If
got.
I
them
don't
on
put
her
money in
books.
there, but they're clearing on her books
She's got them on
because
her books too.
when you do an e-check, your money's gone.
It all posts,
Right.
it debits, it credits, it posts.
It does
and it's
everything.
cleared, but it's not actually
But it's-
physically happening.
It's not physically happening. That's probably a better way of putting it. It's, you'd have to come over and look at
So
it.
they're not reconciling their cash, what their cash balance is, because their cash balance would not match.
Yeah, if they were doing that,
Those.
they would know.
And frankly, I can tell you between you and the fence post and the video recorder, I
Anybody
suppose,
else online?
I don't think that she's balancing every,
They need to be shown how to balance their account.
I don't think she's balancing every month.
No, I don't think so either. For
And
sure,
I
you
have
wouldn't
another
this
school
problem.
that's got slight issues, but hers aren't bad.
She'd be coming to you
Hers,
saying,
I
Carrie,
think-
I made a mistake.
I have
Wow.
$12,000 more than I should,
Yeah,
or whatever it is.
yeah. I don't think she's balancing to us. Because if you're balancing to us, you would know that something's amiss.
Absolutely.
And the whole point of having the school ledger is to balance to us. So it's a check. So if we're the bank and I'm sending you a bank statement each month and you never balance your checkbook to that bank statement, and then you go back in and go, huh, the bank says I have 12,000 more dollars than I do, you should be asking the question. But if you're not balancing,
But you never comes out.
You do the balancing for her.
but I only balance one side.
Well.
So I,
So wouldn't their audit have?
well,
Sure, the auditors.
I-
would have-
auditors,
Not material.
it's not, it is for me, because when we have an audit in February, if I don't have this straightened out, I'm gonna be out.
It may not be big enough.
I'll
to
be
get
shit
picked up,
canned. Sorry. You guys were going to get rid of me. But,
But the cash would be off.
so auditors don't look at every. Auditors do a very good job. They find the things that are important enough to make a difference. But I don't think he's gonna look at her payroll, ACH payments.
But they balance
Compare
cash,
that.
but they balance cash, Terry. And
Yeah.
and they should be off.
There you go.
Like Beetlejuice, you'd say my name 3 times.
Beetlejuice,
and I
Beetlejuice.
show up.
Oh, I said your name 3 times.
I didn't know we were doing this in the morning, I thought. it
Well,
was
no,
an
she's gonna do it this
afternoon
afternoon, but
Okay.
but here's
perfect.
your report.
Fine.
So anyway, it's hard to explain, but I'm gonna funnel down this path and see where this comes out. I spent a couple hours just checking checks back and forth, and just in 1 month, I have 3 checks that we never posted. Just in 3, just from like, March of 24. So, and Paulette's over there going through month by month. So every check that isn't posted, we're just gonna circle, then we're gonna have to post them in October, because I'm not going back. I'm not gonna go ask Ginger to reopen last year. We're gonna post them and move that money over and hopefully clear this whole thing out, but it's painful and it's distressful. To me, it's distressing to me. So,
So who is that? Is that Lori or Audrey or Aubrey?
it's Lori. Aubrey's gone.
Oh.
So it doesn't, she had a baby and
Is
decided to
it
stay.
Lori?
Yeah,
Mm.
I didn't want to say her name on the thing, but, and in her defense,
She's been there a long time.
she's struggling since this whole bond thing. It's just been a struggle. And she can't keep anybody. She had hired somebody. and-
So what are they
Yeah.
doing at the end of the month? Are they just cutting last minute payroll checks or?
Yeah, I'm assuming, I don't know that. I'm gonna have to have this conversation with her too. Once I can prove what I think I'm on. I'm gonna have to have this conversation, because how could she be balanced? So in the old days, Bonnie's days, 10 years
I
ago,
did that backwards.
Bonnie, when the previous treasurer left quickly, she made the schools tell her that they balanced to us. And I've never felt like I need to do that. Some of the clerks do write an email and say, great, we're good, great, we're good. Except for 2 schools. And we let them do this e-check process. We let them do this e-check processing, it'd be easier for him, but we may have to force her to go back to
Paper check.
handwriting paper checks. For at least a little while,
Should be the same thing.
Should be.
It should be the same. thing.
but the paper check she carries to the bank with a deposit slip
That's what
and
we
has
still
to
do.
physically deposit it, just as what they do. Physically deposit. When they do an e-check, it's just right off their books.
You shouldn't be able to do an e-check for a different amount than you make a deposit for. It just,
But she isn't making the deposit,
No.
we are.
well, but on their behalf, they know what the amount is.
But she should,
That's what I would tell them to do. Go
she's
back to
not
paper
being
check.
charged on her, so on our side, so we would take that e-check that they've posted. And we would post it on our side, and that would lower their, right, that would lower their like fund.
So what about,
And so that's where it should match, and it's not.
so are all these e-checks that aren't being transferred over, are they outstanding? Or does it completely wipe it?
Well, no, because treasurer's checks clear immediately on our side.
This is payroll.
So we have to physically move, we have to go into
Yeah.
the bank and transfer $10,000 or $70,000 for all of her e-checks that we have also posted as a treasurer's check.
I would
So
tell her,
they've cleared
I'd
here.
tell her to walk a check down there. That's
Yeah,
what we still
and that's what
do.
they used to do in the old days, and Boulder still does that, right? They write a check to Jefferson County Treasurer for IRS, just like you guys do. And she carries it to the bank with a deposit ticket, so we can see one. You guys list six different things, but we know how to pull those
PERS,
numbers out,
PERS,
PERS,
IRS,
social security and all that stuff.
Social Security,
So we
Medicare.
match those up, so we know who's doing it right. But I think that's where our problem is we don't have money, funds being depleted on this side to match her side. And we're not moving it off of our books. We do move it off our books. It's really hard to explain, because an e-check means I go in and I say, this check has been issued. It clears
The debit's for the
immediately,
wrong amount.
but I don't physically move the money out of the bank. Then
E-check is for the wrong amount.
we're not balancing either. So it's a pain in the tail.
That
So-
makes sense, though. That's kind of nice that there's a possibility to
Shouldn't get in those situations.
find it.
I know, but we try to make things easy for the schools, and then we figure out like a year later, obviously, this is November of 24.
Yeah.
And we've been out since November of 23. Why? And what it takes, Bob, is more time than I have, and that's the problem. So that's why yesterday and last week, all Paulette and I focused on was these checks. Okay, let's do this. I shouldn't have to spend 4 hours here on a
And maybe-
holiday when I would rather, well, I can't put my feet up
you
either,
keep
but
saying-
that's beside the point.
But that may be your big reconciliation mystery.
It's my
You've been looking
problem.
for. Yeah.
Would it help to involve the superintendent over?
I don't want to do that just yet. I want to make sure I've got the right track before I say anything. You know what I mean? I want to make sure that this is actually what the problem
But I mean,
is.
there's just so many.
But I will,
with
but
that.
I did talk to Mr. Wilkinson, last Monday. No, what day was I in that thing? Wednesday. We had a call with so I'm changing gears here. We had a call with the school's insurance company about that wire.
49,000.
Mhm. And Mr. Wilkerson was on the phone
Okay.
too. They have accepted their claim. They may pay them up to 50% of that money back as part of their insurance. Which is good, which is a good thing, right? It's just Shane has done an amazing job of figuring out how this happened. That guy, he knows his stuff, guys.
That's good.
So he went out and he searched the internet and the dark web. And he found where they created a GoDaddy domain on September 9th. So September 9th. And it says GENDCCO.com. The company's name that wire was going to was GENDCO.com. See the difference, the CCO? On September 9th, this evil person created a GoDaddy thing. So they had already infiltrated the school's emails, probably. So Mr. Wilkerson will tell you it didn't happen at the school, and their IT department will tell you it didn't happen at the school, but I have to tell you, I believe Shane, I think is more sophisticated than some of our IT managers. Not a criticism of them, just from what I've seen.
You say happened at the school. Are you saying student or someone who had access? to
Somebody
the school?
malicious,
Well, I get that, but like a student, or did they
not a
have to
student,
be?
there's no way to
employee.
tell, because
No.
if you press on a link in the school public domain,
This
it
is-
could have been.
This is a professional.
So
Okay.
he had a link in there, a malicious link, that somebody at the school press that creates this,
Oh,
this download thing. So it could have been a student. It could have been an administrator. We don't know. You don't know how they start, but that's how they kind of get in there. But anyway, so Lori started having this conversation about being invoices that are
How
passed
did he know
due.
what the transaction was gonna be though?
Because he's watching the emails. So watch the email. I have them all printed out.
Were the
If you
emails-
watch,
Emails after the date he created the,
so the
document?
first email Lori had with the merchant was on or around September 9th.
Okay.
Okay, So if he was watching the
Watching record.
emails, you can see the chain where it changed from the original email
Mm.
to the fake one. You can see it on the
Well,
chain.
Boy,
But if you're not paying attention to those tails,
they're good.
they're good. And that's what Shane said. This was a sophisticated attack. And he said, I know you feel like crap about it, but if you were looking at every email chain, that tail, because I said, I get emails all the time from people wanting to change their payroll and I just delete because for one, I don't do payroll, but two, none of them have a email chain that I even recognize, or else I would have sent it to Ginger. I'm sure Ginger and then gets them all the time too. Bob Mullen, I wanted this.
That's the thing
Or-
though, is that, we do constantly get emails in this office to change my payroll information, you know. The only person that's ever fell for it was Bonnie.
Oh, that's not good.
But we stopped her in time. But we do get them all the time, and I think it's because that one time Bonnie responded to them. And so then they know you're open. So now they know either you're open or, you know, and our firewall doesn't block those ones.
No, no,
They
no,
still
no,
come
they
through
still
to
come
us.
through,
So
yeah.
like they think you're open, and that's what concerns me. Part of why I came in here was I was trying to catch Bear before he left was about this
Yeah, I'm
overseas.
gonna bring that up here in this too. That's on my
Overseas,
list, but
okay.
yeah, you're right. Bring that up.
Anyways, well, I wanted to talk to him about
He's
these,
never sent me the email, so I don't. even
these
know what
people
this is.
in, where are they? Belgium?
Belgium.
Are communicating with him about purchasing some system. And they want a wire payment. And I don't know what the system is if he can't buy it in the United States.
Might be the one that drives his trucks across the road and it measures how bumpy it is. That's what I'd guess.
Is that like that?
Okay, but here's the deal. So.
I think that was the transaction.
So 2 weeks ago, when I was over there talking to you guys about this thing, and I walked in, I said, what is with this wire? You've sent a message to Ginger. He didn't send it to me. For England, and he said, no, Belgium. And he said, it's an ACH. ACH and wires, as you probably know, are basically the same thing. One, I give my account number out, and one is I get their account number. There's not much difference here, except for that my account number is out there in the world. I'm not comfortable with that either. I mean, I do it. We do get those ACH. Otherwise, you'd never get a deposit from the state of Montana. I mean, that's how OPI pays. I mean, there are account numbers out there, right? It's on every warrant that we write. I mean, it's out there. But the thing is that unless you prove to me that this company is real, I want to see I'm sorry to be like picky right now. I want to see every email interaction from the beginning to the end, because I want to look at every tail on that. Because I just feel like we just shouldn't be doing this.
Can we use a credit card instead?
It depends on the dollar amount of the thing, I suspect. How much is this money we're even
Be
talking
a little
about?
less risky than giving out all our information.
It could be, but probably just have to do it at the end of the month, you know, right before the payment goes.
Yeah, I don't think he's in a hurry for the thing. So.
Well, and I can do an
That might be
ACH.
might be a better option, so you're not sending the account number to.
We can do an ACH. I don't know that I object to that greatly, except for that we need to do our due diligence. That's the only thing. Right? Because I think Bear was shocked at me when I said, well, they're the same thing, kind of, sort of, you know, they kind of are. I don't know that he realizes I don't know that anybody realizes the implementations of, I can't even talk. Once you press that button, the money's gone. The money is gone. If I go over to the Rhonda and I say, wire this money to this, and she does her due diligence, that we've got 2 signers, that we, you know, whatever, done all that stuff, and her wire department presses the money, if it's fraud at all, it's probably gone within an hour from the time it hits the bank. So I spent 2 hours with Wells Fargo Bank last week, going over everything with them, and they didn't even care. I mean, they made me feel like I wasted my time. And the only reason why they'd even talk to me, well, do you have an account here? I said, I do not have an account at Wells Fargo Bank.
You used to work for him?
No,
Oh,
I
okay.
can't stand them.
Oh, I'm sorry,
Honest to God.
Sorry, I stepped on it, yeah, I'm sorry.
But here's the bad part. My mother did for 30 years, and my mother left my sisters and I a good deal of Wells Fargo stock. I'm gonna put it on the market as soon as I can, because I cannot stand the fact that the only way that they would talk to me is by me saying, well, I have a brokerage account with 500 shares of stock. Does that mean anything? Well, no, he goes and looks at my account, takes my driver's license, and then he'll talk to me. Give me a break. I'm telling you, you got fraud happening in your bank.
You love bankers.
They didn't care. So, no, I was not a happy person. And the thing is I talked to the market president in Utah, who I met at the treasurers conference in April. And, or September, I mean, he said, why wouldn't they be taking a fraud report from you? That doesn't make any sense, Terry. He said, why wouldn't they have an account that's been set up for the purpose of stealing money? The purpose of stealing money, and they didn't care. So he asked me to leave his office. This is terrible, but he asked me to leave his office so that he could have a discussion with their wire department. And he repeated the name of the owner of the account and the phone number, and I gave it to the police because I was standing right outside the door. I just read it down and I gave it to the police. This is who it belongs to. You know what? I can be a detective too. Anyway, so have that said, I don't think we're ever going to see that money again. It's gone. It's gone, but the
It's
insurance
not our
company will do that.
It wasn't our money.
I know it wasn't our money, but it's still, when you have a hand in that, Bob, it feels crappy.
Terry, you did nothing wrong.
I know, but it feels crappy.
Yeah.
It just doesn't feel good. It is basically, I mean, Shane said anybody could have been taken by this. I mean, so even a sophisticated person who's super smart detective might have missed that little email chain thing. I mean, it literally, you look at all the emails now and looking back, you can see where it goes from the right one to the wrong one, 4 emails in.
Change the extension or whatever they
It
changed.
changed that tail, and the tone of the email I actually changed, but I didn't see all these emails, right? But the tone of the email actually changes too. Says something to the effect of, oh, we're not taking checks right now. Well, that should have been a red flag.
Did they send this whole thing out to the rest of the schools in the state?
So the school, whoever they are, I don't know who those people are. They said the
School
insurance company was gonna send it to all the school administrators and superintendents.
Okay.
So I don't know who, Marsh McLennan, maybe, Marsh, whoever they are, Marsh Insurance Agency. So they were gonna send all that out
Okay.
with, along with Shane's notes about this could have prevented by X. Well, here's what's interesting. On the call last Wednesday, when I was on the call with the insurance company in New York, one of her questions was, so you've gotten those payroll request changes? And I said, we've seen them, but we delete them. And she said, has anything else happened? And I sat there for a second and thought about it. And then Superintendent Wilkerson says, Terry, wasn't there something that happened last year? And you know what? There was. So SMA Architectures sent an email, wrong email tail, to Lori and said, pay us this way. And Lori asked me to send it, and I read all the emails before, and I called them because I happened to have their phone number from the bond stuff. I didn't use the phone number on the email. I called them directly. She goes, we never said that. And we stopped that one. So that means that malicious malware has probably been in the school system for the last year, because that was probably the first one. And we stopped that one. Only because I knew that lady, whatever her name is, Courtney, whatever her name is, it doesn't matter, but. And I said, Lori, we're not doing this because they said you can send them a check. So anyway, so we did stop one, and that's what Shane said. It probably, because Shane was on the call with the insurance company too. He said it's probably been in there for over a year, that malware. And the guy just watched until there was evidence that she needed to get something paid. And then he went out there and did the GoDaddy thing, changed the email, slipped in there, changed the email chain. So the key is you got to watch all that stuff. And so if we do that Brussels thing or Berlin or whatever it was, Belgium, started with a B. I would like to see the entire email chain, Ginger, before we do it. That, the Bear's first email contact.
I
all
just
the way up.
asked him if he could do it by credit card and give me all the big paperwork and stuff
But,
too,
so there's
so.
nowhere in the US that sells that system? That's too bad. But anyway, I guess that is what it is. All right, so I got a couple of issues to work on. She's got this now, or you have this. Ginger signed this, you signed this. Who keeps this? You do.
I'm gonna go scan it and fax it. Send it back to Andrea.
Yeah. Do you want to see this where the debt service is on here? Or I think I said
You
this to you.
sent me that.
So it's just the second line, the last column, that's where the debt service money is.
I'm wondering if we should sign a clean copy.
Yeah,
What do you guys think? I think so. We all signed the messy.
This is my math. Well, it's just my math.
So you think
It's
it's
not messy. My math.
let's sign both.
We can sign both of them, I'm kidding.
Then I can sign it correctly, because I signed where I was supposed to
Okay.
print.
And then apparently we're short on pins in the county. They got-
Budget cuts, budget cut. That's where that 5% number is. And the rate through.
Today is what day now?
Tax day.
Is that a requirement that everybody signs these things?
Well,
Just
this three of us
The three of us.
that we accepted the mills as right. Just my math, Sarah.
I was ready to go for it, but Ginger got
Okay,
off.
so the last thing,
You got more?
I have one more thing, this thing that Mr. Haggerty in his beautiful pink shirt, he looks so adorable.
I think I gave it to you, but actually,
And then can I steal
I
a
don't need
scan
it.
of it before you go?
Do you want me, when I send it to her, to see? some
that's just
of them?
another form on this.
Well, here's the deal though, I don't know what, this says indemnity trust tax. Well, I was on the phone, did you see this? So I was on the phone with Kelly Bacchus. Barkus maybe, anyway, she does all the mining tax. And she said we didn't have any, nothing was reported, so maybe she hasn't seen it yet, I don't know.
There's no
Didn't have any
metals on
one.
here.
Well,
There's
that's
no
not
precious
the same
metals.
tax, right?
Okay, no, it's resource indemnity trust tax, so there must be somebody else. I need to
Resource
ask.
indemnity trust, we don't get any payment on that.
Okay, we don't get any money for resource indemnity,
No.
but I want money.
Reasons, that's a big fund that the legislature manages and
Okay,
it's a
so
big
this
fund.
isn't our money.
No.
Not this
Okay.
one.
All right.
Gold on there.
Do I
Gold
still
sulfur.
need to
I
go
mean,
back and talk?
evidently, it means something to us, but
No, probably not.
Do you want me to come back this afternoon? Do you have any questions on the mills or anything? So I'm good.
Dan picked this up. You see where it says tons of sulfur concentrate?
It's sulfur, not gold.
Oh, all mineral except coal, garnet, quicklime, talc. or-
But then in the little box there, right in the middle of the page.
Where the money is.
Uh-huh.
No, but back to your, right there.
Oh, tons sulfur concentrate. Sorry, that's small print from my glasses.
That's the same thing that was on that sheet, other sheet that you sent the other day.
Okay,
That said, that had.
so
the
this is,
net
we
proceeds.
don't get anything for this.
The other sheet
Okay.
was a net proceed sheet. This is a resource indemnity trust.
Okay, so again, this is, so Golden Sunlight doesn't get anything. They take it out of state and,
Yeah, I don't know who's getting the $19,000.
I
It's
don't
not us, I don't think.
Because when it said, like Bob was saying, the sulfur, that comes from the ground here. And then the final is the gold at the other end.
yeah,
They
so
get
they
the
must
gold.
report it to
They get the
Nevada.
gold part, we don't.
Do they get the
But-
gold out of it in
Yes.
Nevada? They
Seeing
don't,
that-
they don't get it out here?
Nope,
The
they
sheet
find it
that
down
you
there.
sent the other
But
day
we're
shows
supposed to
that
get something, I understand, is from the sulfur.
they lost money,
So
But
right?
this is where it's.
They had
extracted
this
from,
three,
is that gold
3.8
in
million
it.
in revenue, but they paid out 9
That's my
million.
question.
Yeah.
Or
So they had a net loss,
I can't
Right.
Answer that.
net proceeds.
Okay.
Net proceeds.
Well, I was just trying to find money, guys, sorry.
Mhm.
I
No,
was just
that's
trying to
good.
find money.
That's good.
Good faith.
Yeah, it's big. Well, okay, so I'll just file this in my round file. I guess we don't get any money. Sorry, I just want money.
I'm happy today we hired Will Coletti as our custodian and savior up at Basin School.
He's your savior, dude.
He was asking me like, can I? I'm like, nobody's going to tell you what to do, buddy. Just go.
So anyway, so hopefully I'll have cleaned up reports to you in November. So once you get,
Maybe it's the mystery on reconciling for you,
not for that much money, thank you very much, it makes me crazy.
every month.
If I
it's
don't
just
figure
that
it out,
little
I'm gonna
bit,
do forensic audit,
3,000-4,000
I'm gonna have
bucks,
to pay money out of my own pocket.
I would tell her now,
We're gonna go back to just start writing checks.
at least until you can make sure that that's not what it is, but.
But your reconciling was eventually working.
It was
You
working.
get
The
enough months,
system was
you get
working.
enough months down the road, you were able to reconcile that difference out.
Right now, we're down to $47,
Yeah, well,
but,
we'll see it.
but,
Plus 12,000.
yeah, there's nothing changed. I don't know how it all cleared. I haven't figured that out, the answer yet.
It's interesting.
But I told Paulette, I said, well, that's weird. She goes, I know. So she says, I'm going back over
Some-
everything.
Sometimes you don't want to look at numbers too close.
Well, sometimes it makes your head spin. I don't know. So I've submitted this report to DOR. I did that yesterday, so they probably just seen it today. Once they roll my taxes over, hopefully I'll have them to the printer by Monday next week. Still a little bit later than I want, but it's
21st.
not the worst. Right? And it takes them a good 5 to 7 days to turn
Yeah,
around, so.
we can wait till they go out, believe me.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm not in a big hurry.
Well, I'm just saying that people call and they're already calling. I got a call this morning. When are my taxes due? 11:30. Okay, am I gonna get a reminder notice? I said, you're gonna get a bill.
That's a
You haven't
reminder.
got a reminder notice yet, but, I mean, if we have to push out the deadline, the due date, then we do. But right now, I'm hoping that they'll be at the printer and in the mail before the end of the month. That's my hope. The printer has us on schedule right now for next Monday, the 21st, or whatever day that is.
Their problems.
You got what?
She's got bear food.
Bears
You should probably turn that off
everywhere.
before you start spelling it.
No, I'm done. I'm leaving. Thank you for your.
She's a big fat